Hello, everyone. Welcome to my informative speech today. I've got my wife with me as my audience member, and
Hello.
just say hi real quick, and we'll just go ahead and get things started. I'd like to talk to you today about childhood obesity and prevention. It's a growing problem in our country, and it doesn't seem to get enough attention. Childhood obesity, um, it's affecting the lives of many children, and it's also following them into adulthood. I myself grew up as an overweight child, and even though I was involved in sports my whole life and was very active, I still dealt with that problem. I now have two children of my own, and this topic is becoming of extreme importance to me, especially as they grow. And I'm just hoping that they don't have to experience the same things that I did because of it. With all this in mind, I'd like to share with you today the staggering numbers and statistics about childhood obesity and some of the preventative steps that we can take so that we can begin to deal with this quickly growing epidemic in our country. Okay, it's working. To get a better idea of the severity of this subject and how it's affecting our children, I'd like to take a look at some of the numbers regarding childhood obesity in our country. All of the numbers that I'm going to present you with are from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Childhood obesity has more than doubled in children and quadrupled in adolescents in the past 30 years. The percentage of children ages 6 to 11 years old in the United States who were considered obese has gone up from 7% since 1980 to nearly 18% in 2012. Similarly, the same time frame, 1980 to 2012, the obesity rate in adolescents has raised from 5% to nearly 21%. In 2012, more than 1/3 of children and adolescents were overweight or obese. Now, I don't know about you, but these numbers kind of scare me to death, and it's hard to believe that so many children across this country are dealing with obesity and being overweight at such a young age. Like I said earlier, I was exposed to this problem as a child, and I knew that I never wanted my children to deal with the same problems, so I began to, study the effects that it was having on children's health and also ways in which we could prevent this from affecting a child's life. I'd first like to look at some of the health factors that come into play when talking about childhood obesity, and some of the factors that I mentioned here do go into adulthood, but most of these will affect the child at a young age. Obese youth are more likely to have risk factors for cardiovascular disease, such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, things of that nature. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention did a study of youths ages 5 to 17 years old, and it's kind of a smaller population size, but 70% of obese youth had at least one risk factor for cardiovascular disease out of that study group. Obese adolescents are more likely to have prediabetes, a condition in which blood glucose levels indicate a high risk for development of diabetes when they become an adult. Children and adolescents who are obese are at greater risk for bone and joint problems, sleep apnea, and other health risks, along with social and psychological problems such as stigmatization and poor self-esteem. I'd like to take a second and just kind of go into the poor self-esteem part of the psychological effects that obesity has. That was something that I dealt with a lot as a child. Read an article by a guy with McLeod, who is a writer for a psychology website, and he kind of talks about the effects that low self-esteem have on children as they're growing up. He states that children with low self-esteem rely on coping strategies that are counterproductive, such as bullying, quitting things such as sports, clubs, stuff like that. They'll begin cheating on homework, cheating in activities, and different things like that. and they'll avoid any type of situation that they can. Uh, social, excuse me, Socially, children with low self-esteem can be withdrawn or shy. Lots of times that'll cause them to have difficulty in having fun. They'll kind of withdraw themselves from any type of activity with other students, other kids, um, and refrain from anything like that. At school, they'll avoid trying new things for fear of failing their teachers, failing their family, their friends, anything like that, and they'll kind of begin to start giving up on things. So that's a big issue for me. That's not something I want any child to have to deal with, and because of that, that's one of the leading issues along with obesity. Um, is the low self-esteem and the effects that it has on a child psychologically. Moving on, I'd like to talk about some of the health factors that go on with a child after adolescence. It'll follow them into adulthood, and some of these, problems, these health factors can be, pretty scary, especially as we grow older. Um, Let's see, some of the problems that, children who are overweight are more likely to stay overweight and continue to be overweight through their adult life. They're going to have higher risks for health problems such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, several types of cancers, arthritis. Overweight and obesity are associated with increased risk for many cancers like, breast cancer, colon cancer, esophagus, kidney, pancreas, gallbladder, thyroid, ovary, cervix, prostate cancer. Basically, being overweight puts you at a much higher risk for cancer as you get older. With so many health issues revolving around the subject, we must take action and look for ways in which we can reduce the numbers. That we can find ways to make our children healthier and better prepare them for a healthy adult life. So with that in mind, I kind of started looking into some of the prevention tools that we can take as adults. One of the easiest one is just encouraging healthy eating in our children's lives. I experienced this with my son. When he was growing up, we always, told him if he wanted a snack, he could have, he could snack on fruits and vegetables. And, now that he's older and he kind of picks what he wants to snack on, he's beginning to, snack on vegetables. So just by instilling that thought into his mind, he makes that decision on his own. At dinner and everything like that, make sure we're providing healthy vegetables, fruits, whole grain products for them to eat. The American Heart Association states that, and they, tell you to serve reasonable portion sizes when you're giving your children dinner, not to starve them or restrict them from eating, but just make sure portion control is a part of their healthy diet. Encourage them to drink lots of water, limit the sugar, the salt, the high sugar beverages like Coke and soda, any type of drink like that they take in, and saturated fats. One of the things that this American Heart Association, offers as a suggestion is to take your child's favorite meal and don't tell them about it, and to change the ingredients from what you would normally put into something very healthy. And they said you probably won't even notice the fact that you've changed the ingredients, but you've made it a healthier meal for your child. Little things like that will go a long way in helping with this problem. As adults, not just as parents, but aunts, uncles, grandparents, any other siblings, anything like that to these kids. We as ourselves need to change our eating habits, so we can instill the values in them, that they can see them in us, and we can create a whole lifestyle change within the child's life. Another way that we can help prevent, I think I missed a slide there. Yep. Another way we can prevent childhood obesity is through physical activity. Just getting our kids outside, having them play. The NFL and the NBA have got programs in place to where they teach these kids how to get outside, to play for at least 60 minutes a day. They teach them different ways of eating healthy. And that is just something that's very important in the prevention of childhood obesity. Um, some of the outdoor activities that they can do would be organized sports, baseball, basketball, soccer, swimming. Swimming is a very healthy exercise. Walking. Basically, as long as they're being active along with their healthy eating habits, this is going to go a long way and very important to the prevention of childhood obesity. Sorry it's a little long. Just wanted to share all that with you guys, but as you can see from the information, childhood obesity is a growing problem in our country. There are many options out there that we can do to help assist with this problem and prevention of this problem, and they're all pretty easy to accomplish. We basically need to be there for our children, watch for the warning signs of obesity. We need to create a healthy environment for them to eat at home, away from home, wherever they're at, and make sure that our kids are getting outside and playing. We don't need to be having all these video games and having them sit around inside and watch TV all day. These kids need to get outside and at least 60 minutes a day. Some sort of aerobic activity is going to go a long way. I hope that I've opened your eyes to some of the problems along with this problem, and I've encouraged you to take charge and instill some healthy habits within your children's lives and within your own lives. With healthy eating and physical activity together, our children will be set for a healthier and enjoyable life. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.